it's been a while since I wanted to do this video. Since a big part of my channel is period dramas, Jane Austen and literature, I thought that I would do a video where I give my official top 10 period dramas of all time ranking. So I know this is a very subjective topic, so don't come at me in the comments. I will agree on whatever you say, okay? I love all period dramas. Honestly, it's really rare that I hate a period drama, so I will agree with whatever you say, honestly, but I had to do a top 10 ranking, and it was the most difficult thing in the world. I mean, even just Pride and Prejudice, to choose between the miniseries and the movies, I mean, I will talk about it later in the video, but it's impossible to just choose between Pride and Prejudice miniseries and the movie, you know. And it's really funny, when I went to the Jane Austen Centre in Bath last year, I just love to ask people like what their favorite Pride and Prejudice version is, if it's the miniseries or the movie. And it's really funny because you pretty much never get the same answer. So some people will say their favorite version is a mix of like the miniseries Darcy, so Colin Firth Darcy mixed with the Keira Knightley Elizabeth Bennet. So you never get the same. Some love the miniseries, some love the movie, some love a combination of both, some maybe loathe both of them. I don't know, but you know, that's the beauty of it, is like everyone has different versions of their ideal Jane Austen adaptation. And so yeah, that's why it's a very subjective thing to do. But maybe if you're new to period dramas, new to Jane Austen, the Regency era, and if you also have unrealistic expectation in men, especially Regency men, then welcome to the club. And yeah, here's my top 10. Obviously, I have to drink from my Colin Firth Pride and Prejudice miniseries mug. So yeah, cheers and let's go. So my number 10 is Emma 2009, the BBC miniseries. So I love Emma. I think it was the third book I read when I started reading Jane Austen, and I just love the story so much. I love Emma as a character. It is such a witty story, and in my opinion, the best Emma adaptation is the 2009 miniseries. I think it's the perfect Emma, and I really like Mr. Knightley in the miniseries. So yeah, I do like the 2020 movie with Anya Taylor-Joy. I think it's a very interesting take. If we're talking cinematography, then obviously I think the 2020 Emma, especially when we're talking about costume design, is much better. But the story overall, and I think, yeah, it feels truer to the book. And that's why I love it more, I think, because it's more what I imagined, the story to be like. So I think the 2009 BBC miniseries is true to the book, and I will say this a lot in this video because I really, BBC miniseries were the best thing ever, and to me they really make the best period drama adaptations, especially book adaptations were so well done by BBC. And yeah, so if you haven't watched the miniseries yet, I would absolutely recommend it. I do believe it's easier to watch the miniseries first rather than the movie from 2020. It's also really nice, don't get me wrong, but I prefer this version of Emma. And if you're new to period drama and maybe you have a hard time getting into the story, you could start with Clueless as well. It's basically a modern adaptation of Emma, so it's not really Emma, but you'll see the elements of the story is pretty much the story of Emma. So yeah, Clueless is also, yeah, I love Clueless. It's not period drama, but definitely yeah, you should definitely watch Clueless and then the miniseries maybe. And if you haven't read the book, then obviously it's one of the best books from Jane Austen. But I mean, all 6 are in my opinion, so I could never rank the Jane Austen's book, honestly. it would be an impossible task. But yeah, anyway, this is my number 10, Emma 2009. My number 9 is Outlander. So I know, shocking, I know, number 9 for Outlander. I know it's an amazing series. I absolutely adore Outlander. I've rewatched Outlander last summer with my mum, and my mum is obsessed with Outlander, and I love it too, so very much. But when I compared them to the other period dramas on my list, I have to say it needed to be number 9. I think Fraser and Claire's story is perfect. They're just a perfect period drama couple. Their story is beautiful, all-consuming. If we're talking series 1 to 3, it's my favorite thing. Like, I can rewatch season 1 100 times. I think season 1 is perfect. It's just incredible. It's a beautiful series, and the thing is, I think it's not really dragging on, but I just didn't enjoy the last few seasons as much, I would say, especially like what was the last one? Season 7, right? And now season 8 is coming. It's a bit exhausting, I would say, because like she gets kidnapped, he gets kidnapped, and it's just this game all over again all the time, and it's a bit much for me. And at some points it's a bit too brutal as well. I have to say, the end of season 1, I'm obviously not going to spoil anything if you haven't watched Outlander, but it's tough. What happens to Jamie is I can't watch it. I have watched it once and it was traumatizing to me. So yeah, I would recommend Outlander. I think their love story is beautiful, but yeah, you have to be prepared for a lot of violence and brutal scenes. I think it's really nice because obviously their story evolves with the history of the time. So they're also in France, in Versailles, and then they go to America, you know. So it's really nice if you love history as well, because it is really like, yeah, it has lots of historical events that fits with their love story. If we're talking about World War II as well, World War One, you know, there's just I think it's a really nice combination, and yeah, I love it. I do love it very much. If there's one thing I have to say, I know it's really controversial maybe, but there's one thing that would have made the story really awesome to me. I know it wouldn't make sense, but I think that it would have been so cool if Jamie could have also time traveled into the 20th century. I think that would have been really awesome. I know it would have made no sense, and yeah, it's not possible. I know that, but for me, that's something I would have loved, and that would have made me love the series more if he would have also had the ability to travel in time. But yeah, it's a lovely story, and I sometimes rewatch season 1. Okay, my number 8 is back to Jane Austen. It's Persuasion, the 1995, also BBC version. As you can see, I'm very true to BBC adaptations. I think they're the best. And Persuasion is probably my favorite Jane Austen novel, I'd say. It's really hard because Pride and Prejudice is perfect, but the story of Persuasion is it's so perfect. Every time I reread Jane Austen's Persuasion, I'm blown away by it, because Jane Austen was just so, I don't want to talk about the book, but I mean, yeah, it's so witty, and it also, the female character, Anne, in Persuasion is so unique when you think about when it was written, especially. It's just amazing. And to me, the best adaptation is the 1995 version. I think it is the one, again, that is the truest to the book. It is exactly how I imagined Persuasion to be. When I read Persuasion, I think Captain Wentworth, is in this adaptation, as well as Anne. I think they're both perfect. I love how they filmed the scenes in Bath, the kiss at the end with the parade. It feels so real. I don't know how to explain it, but how they filmed in Bath feels really authentic. So when you are in Bath, I think you really feel like you're in the movie. Like, it really feels like it, you know. I don't know how else to explain it, but that's how I feel about the movie. It's the truest version and a very realistic one. And I do like the other versions as well, except the 2022 version from Netflix with Dakota Johnson. Yeah. But other than that, Persuasion is great. I do think it's a shame that we haven't really adapted Persuasion for a miniseries. I think it could have been a really nice thing to have Persuasion as a miniseries, but so yeah, Persuasion is my number 8. Continuing with my number 7, and it is also a Jane Austen adaptation. It is Sense and Sensibility, the version with Emma Thompson, Kate Winslet, Alan Rickman and Hugh Grant. What can I say? Just the fact that Alan Rickman is in the movie is enough for me to have it ranked there. I know I shouldn't say that, but honestly, it's not just because of Alan Rickman, okay? But obviously Alan Rickman is one of my favorite actors of all time, and it's, for me, one of my favorite roles he ever played is Colonel Brandon. He was so perfect in this. Oh my goodness, I loved the cast so much in Sense and Sensibility. I think it was perfect. I love Emma Thompson and Hugh Grant. I think they did a great job. It's a comfort movie that I can rewatch all over and over again. And it's really great. There's not much else to say except it's a fantastic adaptation, and they couldn't have chosen a better Colonel Brandon than Alan Rickman. I think he really did such a good job. My number 6 is something that not all of you might know. I'm not sure. So it is very famous in Germany and France, and it is a period drama I grew up with. Since I was 4 years old, I watched this period drama. It is Sissy. So it's a trilogy. So there are even 4 DVDs. So I have all 4. And I can't tell you how many times I watched Sissy in my life. 1 million times at least. So yeah, in Germany and France, it is very, very very, very famous, and it's also something that people watch during Christmas. So it is very much a Christmas movie, considered a Christmas movie in Germany especially. But honestly, it could be in my top 3 because it's also, I have an emotional attachment to it because I've been watching it with my mom since I was a child, and Romy Schneider was my favorite actress. Like, she is, to me, the prettiest actress ever, and to me she is Sissy. Like, nobody could have played Sissy but her. I mean, she is so beautiful, and I was and I still am obsessed with all her dresses and all the costumes and her hair and the dancers, the scenery. Everything is so perfect to me in the movie. All the dances and all the music, Johann Strauss especially. I mean, I grew up, that's basically where I got my classical music knowledge from in the first place, was from Sissy. And there's nothing much to say. And it's if you haven't watched Sissy, I don't know how Sissy sounds in English because I have never heard it in another language, but I think Sissy is translated in a lot of languages. I even watched it once in Italian, so yeah, I think it exists in English, it must. But to me it sounds the best in French, but it's probably because that's how I watched it as a child. The German one is the original, so it also sounds good in German. But yeah, can I just say that this dress, if you have seen Sissy, this blue dress here from the first movie is my favorite dress in the world, and I actually it's a goal of mine to one day be able to make this dress for myself. The amount of times I have daydreamed about having this dress is insane. Like, I can't explain how much I'm obsessed with this one. So yeah, maybe one day, if I have better sewing skills than now, I might try to recreate this dress for myself. Let's see. So that's really one big life dream of mine. Yeah, so anyway, Sissy, yeah, Romy Schneider, one of the greatest actors and one of the best period dramas, in my opinion. On number 5, I can't count. On number 5, we have Downton Abbey. It's a comfort show. If we're talking period drama, most people associate it with Downton Abbey, I think. Downton Abbey is peak British period drama. I mean, Maggie Smith, just for Maggie Smith alone, it's worth watching, honestly, for all the characters. But listen, you can rewatch Downton Abbey 100 million times, and it's always like a big warm hug. There's not one time that I'm bored watching Downton Abbey. I love how the series ended. I watched the movies. I mean, were they really necessary? We can argue about that, but in any case, I think the series itself is so beautiful. It has obviously very, very sad moments, very shocking moments, deaths that I'm not going to name for those who haven't watched Downton yet, but they're really shocking. Like, there are moments that feel like Game of Thrones in a way, you know, like things you did not expect to happen, and that's so great. I mean, there are so many characters that are amazing in the series. I mean, if we're talking costume design, I think Downton Abbey did such a wonderful job. I mean, look at this dress that Lady Sybil was wearing in season 1. It is magnificent. I love it so much. And we actually analyzed these costumes from Downton Abbey in a uni course that I took in fashion design and fashion history, because it is really like, there are so many pieces in Downton Abbey that costumes that I think are wonderful. So yeah, you could make an entire video about the costumes from Downton Abbey. I think they're beautiful, really, really. Even in the last movie, when they went to the south of France, I mean, the French Riviera look they did was impeccable. It was really like the early Chanel years. Okay, it's not a video about fashion. Let me know if you're interested in fashion videos, because I could do 100 millions about fashion. But yeah, for the fashion alone, I think Downton Abbey is incredible. For the story, I mean, and the characters, I think it's so interesting because, yeah, from the, I love, it's a mix because I do love the Crawley family, and Lady Violet Crawley. Violet Crawley is just, I mean, Maggie Smith is, any scene she has in Downton Abbey is just perfect. Like, it's never not entertaining. But yeah, my favorite characters are obviously like Mrs. Patmore and Mr. Mosley. I think those are my favorite characters, as well as Mr. Bates and Anna. I just love their love story so much. So yeah, if you're thinking, not sure whether or not you should watch Downton Abbey, I can guarantee you that you will love it. I mean, yeah, it's for everyone. Even lots of men do like Downton Abbey. Once they really start watching it, it's just so addicting. You can't stop. I remember when I showed it to my mum the first time, like, we really tried to watch 1 or 2 episodes every day, but I think we binge watched I don't know, 3 seasons in like 1 or 2 days. So, you know, it's really addicting as well. So, yeah. Downton Abbey is amazing and deserves to be up there. My number 4 is the Pride and Prejudice 2005 movie. It could be my number 1, right? But I had to do a ranking. I've already talked about it in the intro. It's the never-ending debate about miniseries or movie, okay? It's impossible. So here's the thing. The 2005 movie was what I watched first. The first time I watched Pride and Prejudice, it was the movie. And I fell in love with it a bit too much. I watched it every single day for a few months. It's embarrassing because I do know the entire movie by heart, okay? Any scene, you can name me any scene and I can quote it. Really quote every single line from all the characters. And it's actually funny, when I did an audition a few years ago, I had to do an audition. I didn't remember for what it was, but it was a casting and you had to do a scene. And I obviously did one from Pride and Prejudice as well. So, no words can explain how much I love the 2005 movie. But here's the thing, I think growing up, not growing up, but I think it took me a little while to realize that the miniseries was the better Pride and Prejudice version, but you can't compare them. So I really had so many talks about it. But yeah, there are 2 different vibes, you know. The miniseries and the movie are just so different that it's almost impossible to really rank them. But I would say the truest Pride and Prejudice version is the miniseries. And the thing is also that I think with pop culture, I feel like the 2005 movie was just became too mainstream in a way that the miniseries isn't. It's not something unknown, like the miniseries is very, very famous too, but a bit less than the movie. And I think that's what also makes it a bit more special. And I think that's also a reason why I like it better. But I mean, the music alone in the movie, that's from Dario Marianelli. I mean, I listen to it every single day, and I even learned the piano pieces from Dawn because, I mean, if you're talking soundtrack, it's probably the best soundtrack in a movie ever for me is in the 2005 movie, and the first proposal is unmatched in the movie. So yeah, it isn't as true to the book as the miniseries, but it's also perfect. But it's number 4, right? You can say it's your number 1, obviously, and I wouldn't disagree because Matthew McFadden also did such an incredible job as Mr. Darcy. Oh yeah, another thing is I think I prefer the costumes in the miniseries, so that's maybe a reason as well. I'm not super fond of the dresses in the movie. I do think that Keira Knightley, Elizabeth Bennet's dress at the Netherfield Ball is beautiful. It's the white one where she has this feather in her hair. It's really beautiful. So yeah. But other than that, I do think that I prefer the costumes from the miniseries. My number 3 could be number 1. As I said, it's impossible. I honestly really thought about giving my number 3 the first place, but yeah, it doesn't matter, as I said. So number 3 is North and South. It is, I really don't have much to say about it because to me it's probably my favorite period drama of all time. I can't really say it, but it's the perfect. I love all 4 episodes of the miniseries. Richard Armitage as Thornton is probably now one of the best. Colin Firth also deserves it, but he's just so perfect as Thornton. And yeah, I love Elizabeth Gaskell. If you haven't read North and South yet, I 100% recommend it. It's as good as Pride and Prejudice. it's so romantic. It's so romantic. The scenes in the adaptation, BBC adaptations, are incredible. It's very dark. Also, there's the actor who plays John Bates in it from Downton Abbey, and he's really great in that as well. Yeah, I love North and South so much. I think it's perfect, and yeah. If you haven't watched North and South, definitely watch it. Also, I think it's really interesting because it's during the Industrial Revolution in England, and it's about the workers. And I think it's also a very interesting topic that you don't really see a lot in period dramas. So I really like that as well. And yeah, that's it. All I have to say about North and South. This January, I actually rewatched North and South about 15 times. I'm not kidding. Yeah, I have a problem with period dramas. If you've seen my other videos on my channel, then you know that I'm one of the biggest Sanderson fans in the world. I have my poster here, and also I wanted to thank everyone who watched my Sanderson meme video. I really didn't expect it to have so many reviews, so many kind comments, so thank you so much for that. And actually, there's a part 2 coming very soon, so stay tuned. Anyway, so you obviously guessed my number 2 is Sanderson. It's my favorite period drama series. It's just Colburn and Charlotte Haywood's love story is my favorite love story of all time. Yeah, I haven't talked about season 3 in a video, I just realized, but I might do a video about season 3 if anyone is interested. But obviously I loved season 3 so much. I think it's perfect. I love all 3 seasons, and it was the perfect ending to the series. And yeah, Sanderson has a special place in my heart forever, and yeah, I will cherish it. And I was so involved with the series, I think that it will always be up there and kind of my number 1. But yeah, the number 1 on my ranking obviously is something else. And drum roll, my number 1, the best period drama of all time, in my opinion, is the Pride and Prejudice miniseries from 1995. There's not much more to say. It's the perfect period drama. It has everything it needs. It's so true to the book, and I think that's, for me, the most important criteria. And Colin Firth is Mr. Darcy, and he will always be Mr. Darcy, the perfect Darcy. And Elizabeth Bennet as well is just so perfect in the miniseries. I mean, episode 4 is probably my favorite. Wait, let me think. Yeah, no. Is it episode 4 now? I can't remember. Yeah, episode 4, where she goes to Pemberley and meets Darcy, the episode where he jumps in the pond, which has so many views on YouTube. Yeah, this is my favorite episode. I think it's perfect. I mean, when they're having this dinner at Pemberley, where Elizabeth sings and plays the pianoforte, this scene is one of my favorite scenes of all time. And yeah, it's the perfect adaptation. It took me a while, it took me a few years to realize that it was better than the movie, but now it's my choice. If I want some Mr. Darcy, if I want to watch Pride and Prejudice, I will always go with the miniseries now, if I have time, because it's obviously longer. But yeah. So yeah, I'm really curious to know what your top 10 ranking is, so definitely let me know in the comments, because I just love talking about everyone's favorite period dramas. Let me know if you have some recommendations. Maybe there are series that I haven't watched yet. Obviously I have watched more than these 10 period dramas. There are actually, I don't think there are period dramas that I haven't watched yet out there. I even watched Spanish period dramas. If you haven't watched, there's also La Cocinera de Castamar. Wait, what is it in English? I think it's the Cook of Castamar. It's it only has one season on Netflix, but it is also a lovely period drama that deserves an honorable mention. So there are so many period dramas out there, so I'm really curious to know yeah, what your favorite period dramas are, and yeah, also if you prefer the miniseries or the movie. I always love this question. And yeah, that's my top 10 ranking. And yeah, I'll definitely do more videos about period dramas, maybe other period dramas, do other Sanderson talks, and maybe some videos on Pride and Prejudice in the future. And yeah, that's it for now. I hope you liked the video, and yeah, I'm going to go watch some period dramas now.